welcome to the introduction and overview of the second show called Introduction to Meditation. In this sequence, what we will do is we will cover three aspects. We will first look at some of the technical aspects of putting on this show for you, and then we'll go into the actual content of the 10 sessions and provide you with a basically setup, so you'll know how to log on, how to access it live or afterwards, and how to participate. Then I would like to go into the actual content and have a short PowerPoint presentation to do that. And we'll look at the 10 sessions in terms of what will be covered in each of them and with a little bit of discussion. Then finally, I'd like to talk about the purpose of this show and the 10 sessions and how I would hope it would be used in the future. Okay. My name is Steve Oliver, and I will be leading the shows. And as we go forward, we'll probably have more interaction. We'll have some people live, and perhaps I'll go right into the technical aspect of it. For those who don't know me, you can find out more information about me and my projects and what I've been doing over the last few years by going to my personal website, www.sdoliver.com. And at that website, you can also access the web channel, or the broadcast channel. There's a link there on that site. These shows are put on in partnership with Google and YouTube. And as a partner, I can take advantage of the global broadcast facilities. And these are all free for you, and in a sense, free for me to produce and make available. Now, as part of that, as you probably will notice, there'll be little ads posted, and feel free to click on anything that seems of interest to you. It's voluntary. But if you do, that will help fund this show. That's how Google and YouTube get reimbursed through sponsors. And it provides some revenue towards making these shows available. There are basically three ways that you can participate. You can go onto my personal website, sdoliver.com/Steve-TV, and you'll see the three shows, and you can pick the show you want to watch. You'll be able to watch the previous broadcasts, as well as you'll be able to register, and you'll see a link beside it saying register for the upcoming shows. When you do that, you'll go to my Google account, and you'll be able to sign up, post questions prior to the show, participate during the show, post questions while the show is live. And at the same time, you can follow along with your course. And this is assuming that you are one of these individuals who's curious about meditation and wants to have a different look at it. Now, you may notice that I will have to be clicking and doing different things from time to time. Try not to let that disturb you. Right now, I don't have a background tech person clicking the buttons for me. But with today's technology, you may, if you watch these kinds of broadcasts by other people, it's quite common to see them getting slightly removed from the presentation to click buttons to bring up a slideshow or whatever. Well, that will happen here. But don't let that distract you. It's just part of the interactive technology. The shows will be very informal. The intent of it is to make this information available to you. Now, I think that's pretty much all of the technical link for Steve TV, and everything's right there nicely organized. If you are a Google Plus user, you can find me on Google Plus. Join my circle if you want, and you can access it there. For those who aren't familiar with Google Plus, the first method might be the best. The third way is that you could find me on YouTube, and I'm available there. You can subscribe directly to my YouTube channel, and there you'll find right now up to around 70 some odd videos. Some of them are just fun, some of them are related to projects I've done, and others are part of an ongoing interest in developing this broadcast channel, and you see all the shows there. Now, if you're not familiar with the YouTube format, it might be a little bit confusing because there's a lot of information there. But if you are familiar, you might be very comfortable just going there, and there will be playlists available that you can access. Okay, so let's go on and look at the content. And I'm going to pull up a little PowerPoint for you. Let's see. And there we go. Now, this is the overview session. It's not part of the 10 sessions. It's the pre-10 sessions. And I want people to have an idea of what they will be watching and what will be in each of the 10 shows. The course, I've offered this course in different settings, and it's the first time I've offered it in this format as a broadcast. But the key here is that meditation is a technique for personal learning, and it has been practiced all over the world for many, many, many years, thousands of years. And I think if anthropologists did produce a report looking at the world cultures over time, they would probably see some form of mind-body investigation. Now, sometimes meditation is used as an adjunct to a religion, and sometimes it's used as an adjunct to belief systems. In this course, I'm going to approach it more as a tool that you can access for your own personal growth. It's not really intended as a religion with belief systems attached to it. There's nothing wrong with that, but this particular course is really just looking at the mind-body connection and how you can access it for your benefit. We will, in each of the 10 sessions, look at 3 different ways of using meditation. And perhaps the easiest way to get in meditation is with a guided, what I would call externally directed, where I talk to you, you listen, and I walk you through a scripted meditation. And there's 4 that I will be using, and they're all connected with how we perceive our reality. These guided meditations can be done with someone speaking to you, or if you play a tape, you can listen to it. Sometimes there's lots of nice guided meditations on tapes with music. You can take my meditations I'll share with you. You can use them yourself. So in a sense, you'll be self-directed. You can walk yourself through these guided meditations, the scripts. And the idea there is to achieve some level of focus and relaxation. The third approach that I'll be using is more traditional, and you could call it a detachment, learning to detach from thoughts. And one of the things I've heard from many people is that they tried meditation and they were not successful, stopped or whatever, got distracted or lost interest. And the main reason for that, I hear from people, is that they couldn't stop thinking. So I like to suggest to you that meditation in this course or these sessions is not really about stopping thinking. In fact, it's about encouraging the flow of thought. And we'll be looking at that very carefully over the 10 sessions. Thought is a flow. thoughts come to you and they go away from you in a sort of organic flow. And we don't want to block them. We want to allow the flow to happen naturally. And in fact, what detachment does is that it allows you to not attach to any particular thought and just allow them to come and go as they need to. There's some other aspects of detachment which we will investigate later, but detachment is my preferred general method of meditation, and it's very powerful, very simple, and ancient. Okay, let's look at the format. The sessions will be approximately an hour, and I'll start each session with a short guided meditation, which you can follow along, and talk about it. And as I said earlier, or suggested earlier, they're yours to use as you wish. You can use them yourself. Once you've gone through them with me, as I direct you, as an externally directed, you can use them yourself and self-directed, and they're very nice techniques. Then there'll be some content. And one of the things I believe about meditation, in order to develop a personal meditation practice, you need content. So the guided meditation and the detachment meditation, those are techniques. But the technique alone would be empty unless you have some content. And the analogy there that I mentioned in the trailer to this show is that if you have a golf ball size consciousness and you approach this material with this golf ball size consciousness, you will have a golf ball size experience. So the content is to help you expand your consciousness or expand the ways that you view the world and to expand the possibilities. And then at the end, near the end, we'll do a short guided meditation. And it will be very short for these sessions, but you can then practice the self-directed meditation, the detachment, on your own at any time. So that we'll wrap it up with a silent meditation. 10 sessions follow along this general approach. We'll first look at the ancients, and by the ancients I mean those going back thousands of years. They developed an interesting belief about reality, about the world around them. They looked out and they came to conclusions and some understandings. And these understandings are quite profound and are the crux of meditation today. And we'll look at these. Then in session 2, we'll take a look at how Western culture, the non-Eastern culture, analyze meditation. This is important because there's been some significant discoveries about the human mind and body, and this is really predicated by the advance in measuring equipment. Once scientists in North America, particularly in Europe, were able to actually observe what was going on in the body in people who meditated, they saw some very interesting phenomena. And this strengthened the belief that there was something going on with meditation and that it was beneficial. We're going to look at some of these discoveries, break them down individually. First one we're going to look at is something called the relaxation response. We'll look at that, and I think everyone has an intuitive idea that relaxation is important. We're going to look at it in terms of what has been found out in science and look at relaxation not just as relaxation itself, but as it relates to something that I would call the mind-body flow. There is a flow in the body. There's a sequence, and relaxation is part of that sequence. We'll move on to look at the brain, and with the understanding that in the East, the brain isn't necessarily considered the center of the body. In Chinese medicine, the center is the dantian, which is around the just below the belly button area and around the hips. That's where life is created. So that is a very important center of the body, and it's mathematically or geometrically, the center of the body is the belly button area. However, the mind, the brain, is very active, very active. In fact, the brain uses the majority of the energy that you consume. That's why you get tired when you think a lot. And you might find that if you do a lot of meditation, that you will be tired. You will get sleepy. Then we'll go on in session 5 to investigate it even further in terms of the frequencies that are generated by the brain. And these frequencies at first appeared to be static or random electrical responses, but today it's understood that these frequencies are very important and they tell a lot about what's happening. And with the new equipment, the functional MRIs, they can actually look inside the brain in real time and watch the rhythms and the frequencies taking place within the brain. Then we'll sort of move away from the physiological aspect. We'll go into more conceptual, what I call the 3 realms. And this has to do with our levels of consciousness. And I find this very intriguing, and I personally divide consciousness into 3 distinct realms. Now, there may be more, there may be other ways of talking about reality, but for the purposes of this course, the Introduction to Meditation, I want to look at it in terms of 3 distinct realms. And I like to propose that they have a level of consciousness in a sense that you're not necessarily aware, you're not necessarily perceiving all these 3 levels, but they're still active and conscious in their own way. Then we'll move on to something that reflects into the healing process, which is called conscious change. And there's a lot of really great research that's been conducted around how just becoming conscious, aware of something, creates change. And you may have heard of the observation effect in science. Well, the observation effect is huge discussion point in science, that at the moment we observe something, we in fact interact with it even passively, and creates change. And when change happens, this takes us into session 8, which is chaos and reorganization. And you may have experienced this in your own life, that as you approach change and go through change, there's chaos. And there's some interesting discussion points here around change, chaos, and the reorganization. And by what I mean by reorganization is to the development of new abilities to handle a situation that you were not able to handle before. Then a little bit more into the practical side of it, I'm going to introduce a very simple approach to breathing. I normally don't teach breathing techniques. I think it's best to leave it develop naturally. But there are a few breathing techniques that are very easy to learn. These come mainly from the discipline of yoga and the ancient approaches of pranayama. Very, very excellent, and have a lot of applications. So we'll look at that. And then in session 10, we'll wrap things up by looking at ways of developing your own personal practice. If you're interested in developing a meditation as a lifelong exploration, and every time you look at life, you should be able to see something different. And one very famous scientist, Nobel Prize winner, said that Albert Einstein talked about reality as an illusion. And he said reality is an illusion, albeit a persistent illusion. So developing your meditation practice will be a lifelong endeavor, and you will enjoy every moment of it as you gain more and more skill in this area. So that's basically how the 10 sessions will flow. And again, for more information about me, visit sdoliver.com, and you can access my web TV channel there. I also have a business website that covers in more detail the projects and other courses and so on. And it's called explorationofhealing.com. And those two sites are interactive and they share with each other. So that is pretty much the whole course in a nutshell. And again, I'd like to mention the fact that because I am a YouTube partner, your participation is vital. And as I said, feel free to click on anything. Now, the third part of this introduction is I'd like to talk briefly about the purpose of this course and why I would put this out globally. Meditation has been approached in a lot of different ways, and one person I studied for quite a few years cautioned that when people meditate for the experience, they may miss out on the benefit. So although when you meditate you may have many, many different experiences, the general approach is that if you sit and meditate and nothing happens, your response should be, oh, that was interesting. And if you sit and meditate and you have a wonderful experience, your response should be, oh, that was interesting. So regardless of whether you actually perceive something or you don't perceive something, something is happening. And believe that in your world, you're not always aware of everything at the same time. And it's not the specific experience you're having, it's the unfolding of your life as you move forward. So, feel free to access through the three different methods that I mentioned, one being the my personal website, stolver.com. One is through the Google Plus account if you're a Google Plus user, and the other is directly through my YouTube account. When you go to my personal website, stolver.com/steve-tv, you'll be able to just view previous shows. You'll be able to view shows that are live and in broadcast. And you'll see a link below the broadcast screen, and it will say register. If you click on that, that would allow you to go into the Q&A section. You can actually post questions and interact. Well, I think that's pretty much it, except for the fact that on an ongoing basis on any of those three sites, the stolver.com, the Google site, and the YouTube site, you can post comments and interact that way. So there's lots of ways of connecting. And when you decide to continue and watch the subsequent 10 sessions, do so with an open mind. You know, just take your hat off and set it on the table beside you and just be open. And you can put your hat back on after the session's finished. So approach this with an open mind and enjoy it. I think you'll find it lots of fun. And as we go forward, I hope to hear from many of you. And one final note, to find out when a show is going to happen, I will be posting the next broadcasts on each of the three shows. You'll be able to find that quite easily on my website. And when a show is scheduled for a specific day and time, I will put that there. Okay, well, I think that's about it for today. And everyone, enjoy your day, and I look forward to